Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head down to the Netherlands and it's time for a look at some more Trappist beer. For this review then we are going to go to just outside of Tilburg in the southern part of the Netherlands and we're having a look at another beer from Brouwerij de Koningshoeven, who of course are the brewers of the wonderful Trappist beers. This one is called the Trappe Blond and it comes in at 6.5% ABV. This is a style of beer that I really quite enjoy, but I don't get to review all that many of them, to be honest. So if you're watching and you're a fan of the kind of Belgian style beers, do give me a shout and let me know what other Belgian blondes I should be looking at. But from this brewery so far, I have tried the Triple and the Quadruple, both of which are very, very nice. Those are probably my two favourite styles of Abbey beer, so I'm very curious to see what this one has in store, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer as well. So yeah, since this is a Dutch beer review too, we'll give a shout out to the guys at the Dutch Beer Collective, Thomas Opens, Beer Geek Holland and Dutch Beer Geek. Those guys are doing some very, very nice beer videos, most of them in Dutch, but they do English reviews, you know, kind of once every couple of weeks or something. I'm trying to encourage them to do more because it introduces the world to Dutch craft beer, which obviously is, you know, in my experience is very, very good. So hopefully that's something that you'll see more of from them in the future. There's also Beeromaniac as well, who's a newer Dutch YouTuber on the scene too. So I'll definitely go down to the Netherlands and meet up with those guys at some point. But in the meantime, make sure you check out the link to the Dutch Beer Collective in the video description below, and you can see all of these guys' channels. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then, and I'm very curious to see how it turns out. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the history of the brewery and the Abbey before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Brouwerij de Koningshoeven and Trappe before. Hopefully there'll be some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Dutch beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. And do give me some other Belgian blonde recommendations as well, although we need to be careful with that because this of course is a Dutch beer. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Trappe and Brouwerij de Koningshoeven then. So as I mentioned to you already, the Trappe beers are produced by the Koningshoeven Abbey, which is known as Abdij Onze Leven Vrouwen van Koningshoeven, if I've pronounced that correctly, probably in a horrible accent of course, but this was founded back in 1881 in Berkel-Enschot in North Brabant in the Netherlands, and these days of course you can find it just kind of to the southeast of Tilburg in the southern part of the country. But the Abbey is a part of the Order of Cistercians of Strict Observance. One of the, I think, you know, the Cistercians are quite a well-known kind of sect, if you like, of the kind of abbey churches and things like that. I don't know too much about Christianity, to be honest. I'll hold my hands up to that. But apparently in the 1880s, the situation faced by the monastic orders in France was becoming more and more difficult, and the monks of the Mont des Cats Abbey in France feared that they were about to be driven out of the country, so they looked for an alternative. So Abbot Dominique Lassaise sent Father Sebastian Wyatt to the Netherlands, where he had military contacts, and through his former lieutenant Antoine Arts and Father de Beer of the CMM brothers, he met Caspar Houben, who owned some buildings which were known as the Schafschooi. And these had been built by the Crown Prince William in 1834 near Tilburg. But apparently Abbot Lassaise didn't originally want to found a completely new monastery, but he was persuaded by Father Wyatt, and Houben then agreed that he would lease out the property to them. The early years of this monastery though were very, very difficult at the Schafschooi, and the Tilburg brothers helped them a lot to get the abbey established, and a later abbot, Nevada Schweikert, managed to kind of expand the farm, but this really didn't help the dire financial situation that they found themselves in. As a son of a Munich brewer, he decided to establish a brewery in 1884, and this really helped revive the financial situation of the community. And this, of course, was when these beers first saw the light of day. In 1890, though, Don Wilbrodus Verbruggen was appointed as the first abbot of Koningshoeven, and he began the building of a new abbey after the status of monastery was raised in 1891. But this again threatened the financial position of the monastery, as did the establishment of two further refuge houses for the religious communities from France. This was the Zundert and the Chamel monasteries that came into the Netherlands as well. But to solve these issues, a new abbot, Simon du Buisson, was appointed, and he apparently did very well at kind of helping to get the brewery and the monastery back on track. But in 1931, the 50th anniversary of the abbey was celebrated, and then in 1937, the Koningshoeven Abbey was founded as the first Dutch nunnery. During the Second World War, several of the abbey's monks were unfortunately executed by the Nazis, but after the war, a new abbot, Wilbrord van Dijk, was elected, and the abbey has been doing well ever since under the guidance of a few abbots who have come after him. As previously mentioned, the brewery itself was founded back in 1884, and they used to own several bars in the Tilburg area, for what I understand. For a period, these beers were brewed by Artois, you know, of Stella Artois fame, under licence, but in 1980 they began brewing for themselves again, and in 1999, due to the difficulty that the ageing monks encountered running the brewery, they established a limited liability company, which was a subsidiary, if you like, of Bavaria Brewery. You know, Bavaria, you think Germany, but it's quite a well-known Dutch lager brand, if you like, but they were brought in to kind of run this subsidiary company, and this caused a dispute with the Trappist Association, who said this broke the rules as the brewery was too commercialised. So 6 years later, in 2005, there was an agreement made whereby the monks would take a more active role in the brewery, and they were once again allowed to display the authentic Trappist label on their beers of the International Trappist Association. So yeah, interesting story behind this one. These guys, as I've told you before, are one of only two Dutch Trappist breweries, the other one of course being Zundert, who are considerably newer, I think, when it comes to the beer side of things these days. These guys have been established a hell of a lot longer. I want to say that Zundert, they were established around 2012 or something like that again. But yeah, both breweries do some really quite nice beers. La Trappe do have a bigger diversity of style, but that's kind of understandable when you think about how long they've been around. But yeah, the triple and the quadruple I've had from these guys has been awesome, and I really hope that the blonde kind of follows suit. But a really interesting story behind the brewery. Basically French monks that sought refuge in the Netherlands and began brewing beer to save the monastery. I think it's pretty cool. But of course the caveat, I guess you could say, with the Trappist breweries is that they are charitable organisations. The money that they make from their beer, it goes to maintain the monastery, and then anything extra goes to like local charitable organisations and things like this too. So it is pretty cool. I'd love to go and visit these guys at some point. To go and visit La Trappe would be pretty awesome. Maybe I can do that with the guys at the Dutch Beer Collective. We'll just need to see. But yeah, let's get on and actually taste this beer then. That's all you really need to know about La Trappe and Brouwerij de Koningshoeven. If you want to learn more, check out the brewery website in the description below. I think they do have a social media presence, so you can check out Facebook and Instagram to see what's going on. And of course, if you're interested in the different beers that they do, the website's good, but you can check Rate Beer, Untappd, and I guess Beer Advocate as well for more information. So yeah, let's get on and have a taste of this one then. I quite like this. You can see the artwork on this one is very similar to what you'll get on the others. Probably, you know, I think the colour is just slightly different from the Triple, if I remember correctly. It's usually just this kind of window and the colour of the writing down here that changes. But there you can see some of the lovely glasswork on this, and then it says Trappist on the back there. I'm not sure how well that's showing up on the camera, and you do get a unique bottle cap from each of these ones. I think this is, the B means blonde basically, so I think it's, you know, you get a quote, you get a Q, a T, and there's a W as well, because they've got a wit here, and there's one that's called Pure as well, which seems it might be more like a kind of Belgian IPA type beer. They've got a Bock beer as well, which is kind of interesting. So that's one that I definitely need to review at some point. So yeah, this one is a 6.5% Belgian style blonde, and it's a style, as I say, that I really quite enjoy. So as you can see, when we open this beer up, there's a nice little bit of smoke on the opening, and straight away you get that lovely waft of these kind of Abbey Belgian type yeast. As I say, we need to be careful when we're saying Belgian in this review, because you know it is a Dutch beer, but everyone associates Trappist beer with Belgium mainly, of course. But that is really, really very, very nice. Look at that. Got a little bit of haze to it, which you want from a Belgian beer. Of course, the kind of classic Belgian blonde, if you like, is Leffe. Which is a kind of, you know, Leffe is a bit of a go-to for me. I really enjoy a Leffe every so often. I don't drink much beer outside of the reviews that I do these days, right enough, but you know, a Leffe every so often is pretty nice, I have to say. So as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely hazy golden colour, which, you know, kind of pale golden straw, which is what you expect. If I put my fingers behind the glass there, you can see there is a degree of transparency to this one, but it's just got a nice little bit of haze to it. There was a solid finger and a half, yeah, I would say there was a finger and a half of a frothy, I would say perfect white head on this one, not creamy at all, but that's faded away to a little bit to just kind of be around 2/3 of a finger. There's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, quite a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there, but overall it looks pretty much as you would expect from a Belgian blonde style beer. So yeah, let's take a look at that aroma then and see how we get on with this one. That smells really nice actually. This one to me is a little bit more bready and wheaty, I think, than some of the other ones that I've come across. Yeah, it comes across really nicely, this. For me, you've got this lovely kind of white bready, pale malty type quality that forms the linchpin of the beer. On top of that, you start to get some of the thicker, doughy, yeasty notes there. You can smell there's almost just a teeny little bit of a kind of clovey note to this one. Yeah, you know, like some hints of wee teeny hints of banana or something like that. But you've also got a little bit of a biscuity quality to this one as well, like McVitie's Digestive biscuits. I've always kind of viewed the Belgian blonde as being, you know, the little brother of the Tripel. You know, because you've got the Dubel is probably the little brother of the Quadrupel as well, to be honest. But that's the way I've always viewed the Belgian blonde. It's just a nice kind of more sessionable version of a Tripel, and you get a lot of the same aromas out of the blondes as you do the Tripels, I think. It's just a little bit kind of more muted, if you like. But yeah, lovely biscuity notes to this one. Some lovely smooth white bready and kind of a little bit of a wheaty note in there. Wee hints of banana, a little bit of a kind of clovey spice sort of thing. But I mean, overall, the aroma of this beer comes across very, very nicely. I like the sweetness, the balance between the sweetness and the smoothness in this one is really, really very nice, I have to say. On the hoppy side of things, you know, it's got a little teeny bit of earthiness to it. There's some floral notes. It's actually got a little bit of a herbal quality. I suspect they're maybe using Belgian or Dutch hops in this beer. And I've always found that the hops from that kind of region, they tend to be a little bit, they're almost like in between the German and the English hops. They've got a little bit more of the herbal qualities that you'd find of English hops, but they do have the brighter grassiness that you'd expect of German hops too. So you get a little bit of that in here. On the fruity side of things, to me, it's quite apricot-y. There's definitely a little bit of that typical kind of grassy, lemony type thing as well, but to me it's quite apricot-y and sultana-like in the aroma of the fruity side of things. It's got quite a dried kind of apricot-y type note to it in my mind. So yeah, a lovely aroma to this one. I think it's fair to say, you know, if you compare this to other Abbey beers, this one isn't the most complex of aromas that you're going to come across, especially when you think about the Tripel or the Quadrupel. But it's just a lovely, kind of nice, easygoing aroma that you're going to get out of this. So take a little bit of time and enjoy it and see how you get on. But let's have a taste of this beer now then. I'm really excited to try this one. The Trappe Blond from Brouwerij de Koningshoeven, just outside of Tilburg in the Netherlands. I think this might actually be the first Trappist blonde beer that I've reviewed for you on the channel when I think about it, but a style that I very much enjoy. Slàinte, skål, proost. Yeah, that's nice, that. It really is very drinkable, you know. These ones are kind of quite dangerous, I have to say. It's 6.5%. You know, the Belgian beers, I've always found with the Belgian style beers, they're the ones you can sit and drink them and you sit down, but as soon as you stand up, that's when they hit you, and they hit you hard. So you know, this is the kind of same thing that you would get with, you would definitely get that with some of these, if you had a good couple of these. If you bought a crate of this, you could take a few of them, and then it would definitely hit you later on. The pavement would be moving and everything. But this is a lovely blonde, actually. I really like this. I'd be curious to know what the availability of this is like in the Netherlands, of course, because the Trappe beers that we get in the specialist beer shops in like Copenhagen or Systembolaget, it always tends to be the bigger ones, like the quadruples and the triples and stuff like this. So I don't know if this one's a bit more. I'd be curious to know if it is one of the, if the volume of this one, if the volume that they produce of this beer is a little bit bigger as well. But I like this, I really do. So yeah, let's talk about the flavour of this beer then. It's opened up quite nicely, I have to say. So in the middle of your palate you can feel that nice white bready, kind of very slightly wheaty quality. That just blankets the middle of your tongue. And the further you go into the aftertaste, you can feel the sort of doughy, yeasty quality. It's just thickening up a little bit, and it really gets quite sweet in the middle of your palate. If you go to the very centre of your tongue, there's almost a little bit of a kind of caramel wafery type flavour to this one. It's like if you get an ice cream cone and just put caramel sauce on it, it's really like that. But as you move further out from the centre of the palate, it becomes more and more kind of biscuity, like a McVitie's digestive, which is quite nice. I really like that about it. Yeah, and you definitely get the kind of clovey and banana-y notes that I was picking up in this. You get a wee bit of that towards the front of the palate. It does have some of those almost kind of, it's almost a little bit like bubblegummy or something. You know, they're very nice kind of subtleties in there. These beers always have a little bit of that kind of candied vibe to them. So if you go to the centre of the palate and move forward a bit, you'll get the more kind of bubblegummy and kind of sweeter flavours out of this. I like how that goes together. I actually think, when I think about this one compared to Leffe, I think this one's a little bit lighter in the kind of bready side of things, but it's slightly sweeter in those candied flavours. So that's an interesting comparison to make, because I think Leffe probably is the most widely available sort of Belgian blonde beer type thing. So yeah, I like this. It's cool how you can have this style, of course, and you can notice all these different subtleties between breweries and things, but this is a really solid example of the style. Yeah, it's awesome. On the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, very, very light earthiness to it, but it's, you know, it's really quite smooth. But as you come further forward along the sides of the palate, it gradually gets a little bit more, kind of herbal. It does have a little bit of a herbal quality to it. As you reach the front corners of your palate, it's a little bit brighter and more floral, and then round the front curve of the tongue, it's just that little bit lighter and more grassy, just that bit brighter as well. Behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get the nice oily bubble, where those juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. But some of the fruity characters you'll get from this will be from the yeast, of course, as well, so just remember that. So yeah, on the fruity side of things then, if you go towards the back of that oily part of your palate, you do get some of those kind of slightly banana flavours in there, but then it very quickly becomes more sort of apricotty. There's maybe a few apple-y and peary esters in there as you reach the front of the palate as well, and on the very kind of front edge of the tongue, it's that typical sort of grassy, citrusy kind of thing that's going on there. I really like how that goes together, as I said. It's really pretty damn nice, I have to say. That all the way, this is one of these beers where it's all about how the flavours kind of go together and interact, and it really is quite nice. This is a slightly sweeter Belgian blonde than some of the other ones that I've come across, but the lightness of the malt base really helps it feel that little bit kind of more crisp, I think. So on that note, let's move on to the mouthfeel of this beer then. So I'd say that this one, it's quite, for a Belgian style beer, I would say that it's quite light in the mouthfeel for that. I've always found that these types of beers are very big and oily, and this one does have a little bit of that as you move further into it, but when you take it in, it comes across as quite crisp. The carbonation is fairly active in this. Again, that's something that you'd kind of expect from these beers because they are bottle fermented. Overall, I'd say the mouthfeel, it's quite crisp in the beginning, but then it really gets a little bit more oily the further you go into this. The oily character of this beer really develops a little bit. The malt base and the kind of yeasty qualities that interact together, they're quite smooth, but at the same time there's a good degree of sweetness comes out of them. There's a little bit of hoppy bitterness to this beer. I think you'd be lucky to get, you know, about 20 IBUs out of this at most. It might even be less than that. And there's a nice kind of juicy, fruity quality in there as well. Like I said, apricots, a little bit of a kind of peary, apple-y kind of thing, and some, you know, wee bits of banana flavour and stuff. But overall, this is a really, really nice take on the Belgian blonde style. And I wish it was a little bit more readily available, of course, too. You know, it'd be nice to, pardon me, be able to have this one a little bit more readily. I mean, probably the Belgian blonde for me is a good go-to style. You know, if I had the Munich Helles and the Belgian blonde, those would probably be my two choices of session beer, to be honest with you. A nice Pilsner Urquell, of course, goes down very well too. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. The Trappe Blond from Brouwerij de Koningshoeven until just outside of Tilburg in the southern part of the Netherlands. An awesome take on the Belgian blonde beer, and I think definitely cool to try my first Abbey blonde, if you like too. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Brouwerij de Koningshoeven as well. I'm sure I'll return to these guys at some point soon. I still need to review the Dubel, the Pure, the wit beer, and also the Bock. Those are going to stay on my radar. Hopefully they appear here in Sweden soon, but it's been awesome to review this one for you. Do give me some other Belgian blonde recommendations in the comment section below, and as I say, let me know your thoughts on this one, this brewery. Some more Dutch beer recommendations are always welcome as well. Make sure you check out the guys at the Dutch Beer Collective, and I will catch you guys very soon. Slanje, Skål, Prost. Make sure you check out some of the Trapped beers if you haven't already. Cheers.